Hey everyone, today I am super excited to give you your first look at the new DJI Neo, a completely new style of drone from DJI. And today we are going to look at 10 things you need to know about this drone, including the things I love about it and the things I'm not so keen on. We will also take a look at 5 awesome and 5 annoying features of this little palm-sized drone. Let's jump right in. Now, before we take a closer look at the Neo and all of its features, I first want to explain what makes this drone different. And that is the fact it does not require a controller to use it. That's right, this drone can fly completely autonomously. So I'd love to give you a quick demonstration now of how easy it is to use this drone. So with it turned on, the first thing you want to do is place it on your palm so that the camera can see your face. Then on the top you will see this mode button, and you can choose between 6 intelligent flight modes. So I'm going to change into follow mode for now, but we will be looking more at each of these flight modes later in this video. Now once you're ready to take the drone off, you simply want to press and hold that mode button for 2 seconds.
Follow. 3.
The drone will count down
1.
and then it will automatically take off. And now if I walk, you will see that the drone will follow me. Now you can walk in any direction, and as you do, the drone will automatically follow you from behind, and it will try to keep itself a set distance and height from you at all times. And it does this by using AI subject tracking built into the Neo that locks onto you and ensures that you're always in the center of the frame. Now, in my time testing, I find this tracking to be pretty good at maintaining a lock. With this being said, it really works best when you're moving in one direction only or making slower, smoother turns, as I find if you made a sharp, sudden turn, the drone could lose track of you. Now when this happens, the drone will simply come to a stop and hover in place, and if you walk back in front of the camera, it will recognize you again and restart the track. Also, if you walk behind an obstacle and reappear, the drone can automatically recognize you again and continue tracking. Then, when you are ready to land it, you simply place your palm underneath the drone, and after a few seconds, the drone will automatically land onto your palm and turn the motors off. It's that simple. So now let's take a closer look at this little drone itself. The DJI Neo has a body weight of 135 grams and 2-inch propellers, roughly the size of a palm or about half the size of the Avata 2 for comparison. And this makes it extremely easy to carry in just about any location. As the weight is so light, you will barely notice it in a pocket or backpack, and its size means it can fit in the smallest of spaces, meaning you won't need a dedicated bag to carry it. And also remember, you don't need to carry a controller with this drone, making it even more portable. Design-wise, you can see this really looks like a baby Avata 2. It features similar built-in propeller guards, but also these detachable cages that protect the props from above, meaning that they are fully enclosed in, helping the props remain undamaged if it contacts an obstacle during flight. I have had several crashes with this drone during my time testing and haven't even had to replace a prop yet, so they do a good job. I also find that because the drone is generally not flying that fast, and because it's super light, it generally just bounces off obstacles with no issue. But these cages definitely give you more peace of mind to not be constantly looking around and checking on it when it's flying behind you, especially if you are using it in areas with things like branches or trees, for example. Now the DJI Neo features 6 Quickshot modes that are accessible via the mode button on the top of the drone. We have follow, droney, circle, rocket, spotlight, which is where the drone will hover stationary in the air but rotate and move the gimbal to track you, and custom. Now you can set the custom option to be one of 3 modes. Direction track, which allows the drone to fly backwards to get front-facing tracking shots of yourself, helix and boomerang. Now the way you cycle through these and select which mode you want to use is by pressing this mode button on the top of the drone. Now when you do this, you will see the corresponding light light up to indicate which mode you have switched into, and you will hear an audio prompt describing the Quickshot mode you have selected.
Spotlight. flight.
Now, each of these modes have individual settings that you can customize for each, such as the tracking distance and height, and this can be done via the DJI Fly app. So with the DJI Fly app open and the DJI Neo turned on, you will see this new option appear on the home screen showing an icon of the Neo itself and this blue connect button. And once you tap this, your smartphone will connect to the DJI Neo. Now within here, you will see an option for each of the quick shot modes. So if I tap into the follow mode, for example, you can see we can adjust the follow distance and the follow height. So these settings allow you to fine tune the quick shot mode to customize the type of clip you will get when using it. The one thing I will say is it would have been nice if we were able to adjust them settings, such as the tracking distance or tracking height, using the mode button on the Neo itself, so that we didn't have to open the app every time we wanted to customize the quick shot modes. Now just quickly, I wanted to say, if you're getting value from this video, please let me know by giving me the thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. And if you love all things drones, but also action cameras, gimbals and more, and want to learn about the best settings to get up and running quickly, along with tips and tricks to help you get more cinematic videos and better looking images with your gear, then please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. And when you're down there, be sure to check the notification bell so that you will be alerted when my new videos are released. It would be greatly appreciated. And now that we have paired the DJI Fly app to the DJI Neo, this brings me on to one of the things I love most about this little drone, and that is all the different control methods available. So let's briefly go through all the ways you can fly this drone. Now the first one we already discussed, and that is with no controller. You simply place it on your palm, choose the quick shot mode you want to use, press and hold the mode button, and the drone will automatically take off and perform that quick shot. Now the second way you can fly the Neo is actually using your smartphone itself. So inside the DJI Fly app, you can see we get this basic interface, which allows us to do things like change between the different quick shot modes and take the drone off using this button. You can also see a preview of what the camera is recording and the tracking itself. Now there are limitations using this mode. For example, the camera will always be in auto exposure mode. There are no manual controls for the camera itself. However, when using this app, you will see a new mode available called manual control. And when you change into this, you will see two virtual joysticks appear on the screen. And now you can actually manually fly the drone around using this smartphone app. Now, I will say in my experience, it's hard to be smooth with the manual phone controls. When I have tried doing more complex drone moves using these virtual joysticks, such as an orbit, I have found the movement to be quite jerky and not very smooth. So really it's just for basic shots or for putting the drone into position to take a photo, for example. Also worth noting, when using this mode, the drone does move around very slowly, and also it uses Wi-Fi transmission, so the signal strength is not very strong. In my experience, it starts getting laggy and you will start experiencing signal dropouts from around 20 to 30 meters away. Now the next way you can fly this drone is using the new DJI RC-N3 controller. This is a controller that you attach your phone to. Now the first thing to note when you use this controller is you will now be using AutoSync for transmission, so the transmission strength is much improved. You can also switch between the flight modes on this controller, unlocking Cine, Normal and Sport mode on the Neo, and using Sport mode with this controller will give you a max speed of 8 meters per second. You will also see the normal DJI interface when using this controller, and you can also now manually control the camera and set things like the ISO, shutter speed and white balance. There is also limited modes available, such as video mode, photo mode and quick shots, and you can also do tracking in the traditional way by dragging your finger over the subject to draw a box over it, and then you will have 3 tracking modes available, including the POI mode, which will allow the drone to automatically orbit a subject. Now another way you can fly this drone, and the way I have had the most fun flying it, is using the RC Motion 3 motion controller and the DJI Goggles 3. And flying the Neo this way is a really fun experience. Now when flying it this way, Easy Acro mode is also available. This was a new mode recently added with the Avata 2, and this allows you to do 1 push flips, 1 push rolls, and 1 push 180 drifts. Now during my time testing pre-release, Easy Acro was not available, so the footage you're seeing now is from using that mode on the Avata 2 to hopefully give you an idea of what it will be like. DJI has told me this feature will be available from launch day on the Neo. You can also use picture-in-picture with the Goggles 3, and what this allows you to do is if you're flying the Neo and someone comes up to talk to you and you need to be able to see them, but you also want to be able to keep an eye on the drone screen itself, you can double tap on the side of the goggles and this will switch to show you the camera feed from the 2 cameras on the front of the Goggles 3, allowing you to essentially see through the goggles. But on the top left of the screen, you will also be able to see the camera view and interface from the drone, so you can also keep an eye on it. It's a super handy mode, and it also comes in really handy whenever you're taking off or landing the Neo. And then to switch back so that the camera view takes up the full view of the Goggles 3, you simply double tap on the side of the goggles again. The last way you can fly the Neo is using the FPV Remote Controller 3. And flying the Neo this way allows you to unlock manual mode. Flying it this way will allow you to manually do things like flips and rolls. And when you use manual mode, the Neo has a max speed of 16 meters per second. Okay, now let's talk about video quality. Now the DJI Neo has a 1/2 inch sensor capable of outputting up to 4K 30 FPS footage. And if you lower the resolution to 1080p, you can record at up to 60 FPS. Now in my testing, I have found the video quality to be adequate at best. The problem with a sensor this small is it requires really good lighting to get okay looking footage. If you're using this drone on a bright sunny day, you will get footage that is clear and acceptable for social media use, which I think is the main intended use of this drone. But for anything more than that, you will probably find the video quality to not be good enough. Viewing it on a small screen and the footage looks acceptable, but on a 4K monitor or larger, you will notice a fair amount of grain in the footage. If you're capturing footage in low light, you will see the introduction of quite a lot of noise and grain, and very low light or nighttime footage is pretty much unusable. Although just be aware that this drone will not work without a controller at nighttime, as it can't recognize your face and therefore can't automatically take off. Now with that being said, when comparing the video footage like for like with the Neo's direct competitor, the Hover Air X1, it beats it in every way. The Neo can record it up to 4K compared to the Hover Air's 2.7K, meaning you get a higher resolution, and in my testing, the Neo footage is not only better quality, but it has more dynamic range and it has more natural looking colors, producing much more appealing looking footage. Now the DJI Neo only has single axis mechanical stabilization, but the camera uses rock steady electronic image stabilization to make up for this and reduce the camera shake, smooth out movement such as turns when flying, and reduce jitters from the drone moving around in the wind. And this does a good job. Now when it comes to color profiles, there is only one: normal. Although we do get options to control sharpness and noise reduction if flying it with either the RC-N3 controller or the Goggles 3, which is nice to see. When it comes to photos, the Neo captures 12 megapixel images, but unfortunately these can only be captured in JPEG, not RAW. Worth mentioning that it also can't record vertical video, which seems like an oversight considering I think the footage from this drone is intended for social media only. And this brings me on to 5 annoying features of the DJI Neo. Now the first one is there's no microSD card slot available. Now the Neo does come with 20 gigabytes of internal storage, which is good for around 50 minutes to 1 hour of footage. But maybe you haven't cleared that internal storage in a while, you've traveled to a nice new location, and when you put the drone in the air, you realize that the internal storage is full. Well, in that case, the only option you will have is to start deleting media from it. So in these scenarios, it would have been nice to be able to expand that storage by inserting a microSD card. Next, there's no obstacle avoidance. In my opinion, it would have been nice to have seen even front-facing obstacle avoidance added to this drone. And it's not just that obstacle avoidance would have made it safer, especially considering it's flying behind you most of the time, but obstacle avoiding sensors would mean that the drone could bypass obstacles, giving you better and more stable tracking, as it could simply fly around any obstacles it encountered. With this drone weighing only 135 grams, I think there's definitely scope to have included 2 front-facing sensors. So the only reason I can think of that these haven't been included in this model is that they're being saved for the version 2. Next is the noise level. Now, although the noise level of this drone is slightly quieter than the Avata 2, it produces a high-pitched whine more similar to that of the first generation Avata. And this high-pitched whine draws a lot of attention. It's a noise that makes people look around to see what is going on. There have been times when testing this drone that I didn't actually fly it in a crowded touristy area because I knew it would draw a lot of attention. Next, the DJI Neo doesn't fold. Now, I think DJI have missed a trick by not making the Neo foldable. If you compare its size to the Hover Air X1 unfolded, you can see they are almost identical, but the Hover Air has the ability to fold, which makes it much more portable. If you take an example of using the Neo to capture yourself cycling, for example, you might want to pop it in your jersey pocket. Well, with the folding Hover Air, it's no issues at all. However, as the Neo can't fold, you can see this means it doesn't actually fit. So although it's pretty portable, it can still sometimes be awkward to carry. Now, in my time testing, I have found the automatic palm landing to be generally good, but on more than a few occasions, I find it doesn't quite work. So as mentioned previously, when you want the drone to land, you simply hold out your palm, the Neo will fly above it, and then it will automatically lower and land in the palm of your hand. And this works well 95% of the time. However, I have had a few situations where the drone simply wouldn't land. No matter how long I held my hand out, it just wouldn't recognize my palm and land, meaning I had to bring my phone out and take control to land it manually. But if you didn't have your phone on you, this would make trying to catch the Neo and land it very awkward. So hopefully this is just a firmware glitch and something that will be fixed with a future update. It's not all negative though. Here are 5 good things about the DJI Neo, and the first one is that you can download the footage off this drone without it being turned on. At the end of the day, the batteries off the Neo might be completely dead, but you want to export the footage onto your computer. Well, if you connect it via the USB-C port on the back to your computer, you don't even need to have a battery inserted into the Neo. Once you connect it, it will be automatically recognized by the computer, you will see a folder appear, and you will be able to access the internal storage of this drone. Very handy. Another cool feature of the DJI Neo, which will be handy if you vlog with this drone, is the ability to capture audio via the smartphone app. Now, the way this works is when the DJI Neo is connected to the Fly app, if you press this recording icon here, your smartphone will start recording audio from its built-in microphones. And this audio will be automatically synced up to the footage captured from the Neo, but it gets even better. You see, the DJI Fly app will automatically eliminate the propeller noise from the Neo, and this gives you a much cleaner audio track that you can use. Now, another cool feature is the fact that the DJI Neo two-way charging hub is actually DJI's first charging hub to support simultaneous charging. And this means it only takes around 60 minutes to charge 3 batteries from 0% to 100%. You also get the ability to use voice commands with the Neo. So once you enable voice control in the app, you can control it by using a range of voice commands corresponding to the different Quickshot modes. Another feature which makes the Neo super fun to fly is the ability to use head tracking with the Goggles 3. So when using the goggles, if you enable head tracking, now as you turn your head, the Neo will actually mimic these head movements, allowing you to look around as you fly. Now, the DJI Neo has a wind resistance of 8 meters per second, which for a drone of this size is very impressive. However, in real world flying, I find it's still best suited to days with little or no wind if you're looking smooth and stable footage. When there is little to no wind, the drone remains stable in the air, providing nice smooth footage. If, however, there is anything more than a light breeze, you will find the Neo starts to move around a lot in the air, leading to footage that can be quite jerky, having big bumps or jumps in it as it struggles to stay stable in the air. Or it can even start to struggle keeping you centered as it fights against the wind. And if you fly in a day with wind speeds reaching the upper limit of the Neo, the footage basically becomes unusable. I would not even think about using this drone on a windy mountaintop, for example, because it will simply get blown around all over the place. So really, this little drone is best suited to days with little or no wind, or flying it indoors. Battery life of the Neo is very good, considering the small size of the battery. You will get around a max flight time of 18 minutes, but that's if you're flying it continuously. You have to actually think about battery life of the Neo slightly differently. You see, most of the time you're going to be using Quickshots. That means you're going to be palm launching it, it's going to do a quick maneuver around you, and then it's going to automatically land on your palm again. So you won't be flying this drone continuously. Now, when using the Neo this way, I find for each battery, I can get between 15 to 20 quick shots on average. So that means when I bring the 3 batteries that come in the Fly More combo with me, I can capture more than enough clips with the Neo. So the big question, should you buy this drone? Well, in my opinion, if you're after a drone that can fly fully autonomously without a controller to capture clips of yourself adventuring, hiking, or to capture moments such as family holidays and are looking video quality good enough for social media at most, then in this subcategory of self-flying drones, the Neo is currently the obvious choice and winner, beating its main rival, the Hover Air X1, in areas such as video resolution, multiple control methods, and the ability to fly FPV. With that being said though, the Hover Air X1 Pro Max is arriving soon, and it's coming with obstacle avoidance and 8K footage. So for how long will the Neo stay on top? Now, when it comes to price, this drone is priced at the low end of the market and has a very affordable price point. But if you do purchase it, I would recommend you meter your expectations as to what you expect in terms of video quality and performance. Now, if you would like to find out more about the Neo or pick it up, I will put links in the description down below. Now, before you go, if you liked this video and you learned something new, please let me know by giving me the thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. And if you love all things drones, but also action cameras, gimbals and more, and want to know how to get better images and more cinematic videos with your gear, then I recommend you check out my channel where I have a ton of other content to help you level up your game. If you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos, then please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. And when you're down there, be sure to check the notification bell so that you will be alerted when my new videos are released. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to stick around and watch a few more now, here's a few I personally recommend. I'll not keep you back any further. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you over there.